What is up, everyone? JD here. Hope you're all doing well today. Today we're going to be doing the top pocket knives of the week, what was in my pocket, why I'm enjoying them, and just a little bit of an update for anything that's been kind of a longer term carry. So let's go ahead and jump in it. On Monday, I went with a dual theme. We'll bring out the micarta Monday carry first, and that is going to be the Vastid Raccoon. Beautiful blade shape. Nice, comfortable ergonomic handles, button lock with 14C 28N blade steel. Micarta, as I mentioned, is the handle and backspacer. You have nested liners that has been milled to reduce weight and a very good button lock on this system. I went ahead and installed skiff bearings on this, and it's just a great budget value knife. For under $60, 14C 28N with a very thin and slicey blade, a really great, useful drop point blade shape, and again, those really comfortable ergos, reversible deep carry pocket clip. Even has the lanyard hole and filler tab on there for those folks that like the lanyard hole and the filler tab if you need to flip this over for left-hand carry. Smooth button lock operation. Now, there is a little bit of controversy going around with this particular knife. And that's because if the spring isn't very good, it does break the detent pretty easily. Now, what I've done to try to combat that is I went ahead and ordered a large spring from Knife Supplies, and I'm going to stick that in there and see if that will actually fill the void here and reinforce the button tension to prevent that from happening. But am I worried about it? Not really. I'm cutting this way. I'm cutting against the stop pin. I really don't have a ton of pressure that is going against the actual button lock, but I will continue to keep you updated on that. But it has not hindered me from enjoying this particular knife whatsoever. And then I also went with the Monday Blues, and I brought out the absolutely strong, no issue lock from Demco. That is the Shark lock here on my AD 20.5. This one here being the 3V variant, as you can see there. I really like this stone wash, but I am debating getting a reblade on one of these two. I don't know which one. I think I would go with this one though, since it's already kind of got this finish. And having it thinned out just a little bit. I did get the original goat scales here that I anodized myself, and I went ahead and picked up the backspacer and I matched up the anodizing here to the Lynch Northwest deep carry pocket clip. I did put a little bit more blue out on the tip because it was just kind of going from this bronze to the purple, and I wanted a little bit of blue out on the tip here to kind of match what I have going on with that backspacer, which I think looks really, really good. Now, these are the Shark's Teeth pattern, a little bit more aggressive for the ergos here. If you don't like this, I would get their original diamond cut jig pattern. It's a really good pattern, and I actually have it on the larger one. Awesome ergos, nice thin profile, which makes this a very good knife for EDC. It is going to allow you to carry any extra gear that you want, and it is a very fidgety knife. I also have the rocket glides in here, and they are just really awesome ceramic bearings, so you don't have to worry about moisture and any condensation in the pivot, depending on how you're using your knife. And these scales just totally transform the knife. If you have the Gravy variant, it is worth looking at the aluminum or the titanium variants of these scales from Original Goat. Definitely make a huge upgrade. If you have the titanium or the jig titanium already, it probably isn't worth the upgrade, because those are probably, I imagine, going to make this feel so much more premium and such a heavy hitter compared to what it was. But I really do love these knives. They dominated the pocket. This one and the Shark Foot one dominated the pocket last year. Tuesday, I went with the Titanium Tuesday carry, my recently acquired Vero Engineering Impulse Tonto blade M390. Very beautiful stonewash finish on this particular blade. Has a pretty good edge behind it too. It's not the thinnest out there, but it definitely feels really good. It's not even close to medium. It's closer towards the thin, but not the thinnest. A little bit more robust out on the tip for that strength. You do have the 2 points on the Tonto here for your utility and draw cuts, which is really nice. Very neutral ergonomics, super comfortable on hand. I love holding it in this position. I'm glad that they revised the pocket clip here to bring the build down while you still feel it. It's much more comfortable than the old Gen 1 and Gen 2 pocket clips that are out there on most their knives. FrameLock has lots of access to get into, and I also installed a set of skiffs on this one. It did come with ceramic bearings, and they were in the hollowed out cage. I like the full cage ceramic bearings set up a little bit better. I feel like it's just going to make the pivot that much more solid. It is not reversible. Pocket clip is milled into the body here, and it does have the titanium backspacer, and you do have a little bit of milling on the inside there for weight reduction. But I just really love the lines on this. I love the ergos and the size and the weight. Really good for me. Definitely a little bit on the heavier side for EDC, but for me, I really do like this knife a ton. I've been enjoying it just so much since I picked that one up, and this is the first impulse I've ever experienced. On Wednesday, I went with a Wharncliffe Wednesday carry. Got that Penguin Plus in the pocket again. This one here is the traditional pocket knives exclusive jigged titanium. Doesn't that look great? Really just love how that came out and how it plays with the light, how it feels really good in hand, but it's still smooth going in and out of the pocket. So you do get that texture when you squeeze down onto the scale, because your finger and the skin kind of goes into the little grooved sections. But it also upgraded from a wire pocket clip to the milled titanium pocket clip, which I think just enhances the looks ever so slightly, taking it to that next level and really complementing the jig titanium on here. Really good access to the lock bar. Could not put skiffs in this one. I tried the size up 5 by 1/16, and then I went down to 5 by 1 millimeter, which was way too small. But the honest truth is these bearings from the factory are super smooth. They are ceramic, and it is the hollow out cage that holds them in place just fine, and it continues to break in. I know you see me shaking it there, but once it breaks in, I think this is going to be such an awesome knife. It has that really good action from QSP, great utility blade shape, especially if you do utility cuts, draw cuts, and push cuts. You got lots of contact surface there. You're not going to be slipping out of any cuts, and these thumb studs are really nice. They're very well done. I love those thumb studs. Flipper tab is okay. I think my one complaint is I wish they kind of would have done sort of like what you see on the Civivis, and I don't have any of my Civivis nearby to show you. I'm so sorry, but Civivi does a really good job because they kind of round it down a little bit. And I think if they would have done that on this side, having that more gradual slope, the choke up point would have been better. Sometimes, even though it does have this jimping here to keep you from sliding, sometimes I worry about sliding around on that if I'm not too careful. So I am a little bit more cognizant of that, but so much handle back here for you to fit behind that tab and this. And then, you know, you just got to keep the thumb out a little bit so that you're not going into the sharpening choil. Now I did go ahead, because I have cut a lot with this, and I did do a little bit, I think there's some gunk on this knife still. I did a little bit of stropping on this particular knife, and it responded pretty well, and the M390 seems to be treated pretty decently. I don't know that it necessarily has the best heat treat. It seems a lot of the metal that comes out of China runs that 59 to 61 range. They don't really care what the steel calls for, which is good for the EDC and budget-friendly steels, but for some of the super steels, you're not going to get the maximum performance. But in all honesty, I'm using this to open package, open boxes, cut strings, etc. So I anticipate it should perform just fine, because I'm not really pushing that one too much. That was, again, the Wednesday carry. On Thursday, I had the EMP EDC Nimble X in the pocket. Really love the look and size of this knife. Fits in the hand so well for me. I have just a little bit of space back here. I can choke up halfway, choke up fully, and have plenty of space back here, and I can even move back and I just hang off the back of this knife. But it is very comfortable, and I've gotten really used to using this because it's almost set up how I use my smock. Nice and thin edge. Seems to have a pretty good heat treat to it too. It seems like the edge is holding up pretty well on this. I'm not sure. You probably can see a little bit there where it's getting some use, but this is a very nice knife. You can see some of the tape on the tip there too. I love the frag pattern and milling on here. Backspacer and pocket clip blacked out with the hardware to match that black wash blade. Little bit of a tight access to that lock bar for the larger hands, which I would think if you're going to make a larger knife more suited for larger hands, that you probably want to thicken up the scales. That way you can do kind of like what Vero's done here with his, and you can kind of mill out there to get really nice access for that lock bar. But having said that, it's a minor nitpick. It's not that big of an issue. Now mine came with a slightly softer detent tune, and I have tuned that up a little bit, so I feel like for me it's in a better place than where it was, and it works really well for all the deployment means on this knife for me. So really happy to have picked that one up, and it is getting carried more and more often. But that was what was in the pocket on Thursday. Friday I had to go back to an old friend, so I went with a fat carbon Friday carry. That is the Spyderco Smock. If you've been around on this channel for a while, you know how much I enjoy the Smock, and I really love mine because it is decked out. I have the Lynch Northwest deep carry pocket clip. This is the green anode that they did on this pocket clip. I did that to match all the little bright green spots and kind of be like a pop of color on this Jungle Wear Fat Carbon. I did get this one from Carbonized with the speed holes removed and the lanyard barrel removed. I don't run a lanyard, and I just think that aesthetically this is much cleaner. Fantastic M4 blade steel, heat treated for maximum performance from Spyderco. It is a hollow ground blade. This thing is super slicey. I mentioned earlier the ergos on that Nimble X, and this Spyderco is the reason why I am so accustomed to that, because I hold it very similarly. I don't use this as a forward finger choil. I use that cutout for the middle finger to keep a secure grip. This is a great EDC blade, very slicey, again, goes through all the materials very well. The M4 has a great heat treat. It's going to hold an edge, be really tough, and it does have this beautiful coating on it where you can still see the grind lines, and that is held up really well. Again, some gunk out on the tip because I was actually opening some packages today with this knife, but I do love the Smock. I think it's one of Spyderco's best models. I love the fact that the compression lock actually has a button on it to actuate it, so you're not compressing this little thin space that you do normally for the compression lock. You actually can hold the full width of the blade, and it's running on ceramic bearings. Now I did put the skiffs in here, and it did come with steel bearings from the factory, but I did again put the skiffs with the ceramic bearings in there, and the bearing action is really nice. Flipper tab gives you plenty of shelf for leverage, and I really do love the spider holes. I think they're some of the best as far as deployment means and fidget factor. Really nice little EDC lightweight knife. What have you been carrying that you're enjoying lately, and what are you looking forward to this year in 2023? It's early in the year. I got some good stuff inside that I can't wait to bring out on the channel. I'm super excited to show that to you. Now, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to leave a like. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. I'd love to have you follow along as I continue to bring the content. Thanks to everyone out there that regularly leaves likes, comments, and is already subscribed. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you have a fantastic week. Until next time, peace.